Welcome to the I AMU podcast. I am your host, Dr. Nitza Alvarez, a board-certified cardiologist and best-selling author. My hope with this podcast is to share stories so women can speak up and become the CEO of their own health. I am a cardiologist. I am a wife. I am a mother. My story is your story. I am you. Welcome. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Miss Valerie Walton, who is going to be sharing her journey with her heart condition and how she thought that she did not have any heart problems until she found out she had problems. Valerie, welcome to our I AMU podcast. I'm very, very happy, Valerie, that you accepted to come in to join me today to help other women through your story to understand that heart disease is different in women and how many times we go in the journey not knowing how are we different and end up with heart conditions that sometimes could have been preventable. So welcome.
Thank you.
So Valerie, why don't we just dive in and we start with how did everything start for you?
My doctor, my primary care, kept my family history is really heavy with heart disease. And about 15 or 20 years ago, I went and had a heart cath and it came out clean. It was fine. So I put it out of my mind. I thought, well, maybe it skipped me. And
Valerie, you went to have a heart cath just because of the family history
yes,
that you had?
Yes.
Okay. So you wanted to know for sure because it was that strong.
Correct.
Not because
yes.
you were having any problems.
No, my father died at 50 with heart attack. My sisters have heart problems. It's just very prevalent all through my cousins and in my family.
So that was something that it was actually you were very conscious and aware.
Yes.
And you took action and you're like, I want to be evaluated.
Yes.
Okay.
So then I felt comfortable that I felt they didn't find anything, any kind of clogs or anything. Mm-hmm. And so then I felt comfortable. Well, then we moved to the Villages. And my primary care for the year before had kept saying that my blood pressure was just a little high. And she said, we might want you to see a cardiologist because of your family history. And I kept, nah. And so she finally...
Why were you kind of like, oh, why? I'm not sure.
I felt fine.
Okay.
I felt fine.
And you already had a test and I feel good. I don't think I need to see a cardiologist.
And I had a lot going on. At that time, when she finally became more insistent, it was Thanksgiving. It was like 2 or 3 days before Thanksgiving. And my kids were coming in from out of town, my grandkids. We had too much to do. I couldn't fool with that at that time. And she insisted, so I went to see a cardiologist, a man, and I don't want to say anything bad. He was a good doctor, but I don't think male doctors take women as seriously as a female doctor, such as you. I was so thrilled to find you.
What happened on that encounter that made you feel a little disappointed? You felt that you were being like, why are you here? Or like dismissed that they were worried
It was
about you?
it wasn't anything I could put my finger on.
It was the rapport, perhaps?
Yes, maybe that's what it was. I did not feel comfortable with him. And, but he said that I needed to go have
a nuclear stress test?
A nuclear stress, yes. And I said, why can't I just have the treadmill? I'd had that before. And he said no, that he thought I should do the nuclear. Well, I went home, they called to schedule it, and I said, can I not just do the treadmill? Stubbornness runs in my family.
As well as heart disease.
And so they scheduled me for a treadmill, and I went in and I walked for about 15, 20 seconds, and the technician said, oh, wait a minute, I'm supposed to have a nurse in here with me. And I didn't really think anything about it, but she came back with a registered nurse, and they started the test again, and I couldn't finish my last test that I had 15, 20 years ago. About a minute and a half into the test, she said that was it. I was fine. I was so thrilled. I just knew it was perfect.
A minute and a half.
Yes, about a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
You're like, I ace this test.
And before I got home, the cardiologist was calling me, telling me he was annoyed with me that I had changed his changed to the treadmill. So they scheduled me for this. I'm sorry, I'm
The
terrible.
heart cath again?
No, this is still
the
the
nuclear stress. The one that he
the
originally
one that he was.
recommended.
So he was
Okay.
right. I have to say that. And so I went and had that. And the results of that, he said that I should go have the heart cath done.
So you had two abnormal tests. The original one, walk-in, and then they said, let's do confirmation with imaging. And they said, oh, absolutely abnormal.
And I was still feeling pretty good. I just kind of clueless, I guess. I'm not a natural blonde, but sometimes I act like I am.
So because you were feeling good, and
Yes.
this happens so many times, Valerie, when people are like, that cannot be. And that actually, the thing is the hardest for, as humans, for us to accept that something is not right when you're feeling okay. And that's another reason why people don't get checked, because they're feeling okay. But continue.
We went a week, I guess it was a week before Christmas, and we had a cruise scheduled. We had Christmas and our anniversary. It was an anniversary cruise. It was going to be our 28th anniversary. And so we had that scheduled. So they told me if they found something, they'd probably put a stent in. And I thought, oh, okay.
What an inconvenience. Okay.
And so I went in for the test, and my husband said that I was in there just about 10 minutes, and the technician came out, and he said, I knew something was wrong. And they told him they couldn't do the stent, that I was going to have the surgery. When I woke up, and the surgeon was a lady, was leaning over, kind of brushing my hair back, and started talking to me about what our choices were. And I thought, what do you mean choices? And she said, well, they were going to have to get the approval from the insurance, of course. And
even though it's a life-threatening problem, huh? So you have a cardiothoracic surgeon at your bedside,
Yes.
evaluating you for open heart surgery, and we still had to wait for insurance to approve your surgery.
Correct. And I said, well, that's good. That'd probably take a week or so, because my husband and I are going on our anniversary cruise.
So all of this,
Yes.
you didn't think you had any problem.
No,
You
still-
go and get evaluated, and they said, no, this is a serious problem. And here's Valerie saying, I'll come back after my cruise, and then we can chat about this. Okay, so why was that? Why were you thinking like, do you think that it was also part of denial, or or it was just all related to the fact that you felt good and you couldn't conceive that something was wrong with you?
I think maybe a little. I was never scared. I was never afraid of it. And I just kept thinking of all these things I needed to do.
I don't have time for this.
I don't have time for this right now.
Okay, got it.
And I said, we have a cruise scheduled next week. And she said, no, you don't. And I said, but we've been planning this. This is our anniversary, yada, yada, yada. And she said, no. And so we waited till after Christmas. The 29th of December, I went and had my heart catheterization on our anniversary date.
You mean your surgery?
Yes.
On your anniversary.
On our
day.
anniversary.
Great way to remember
Yes.
the anniversary of your surgery. So I want to ask you a question. So you said that you were feeling good, that you were fine, that you didn't have any problems, which I think I want our audience to listen to your story. For somebody that felt great, there's nothing wrong with me, ended up with open heart surgery, which is a major surgery. When we get there, it's because there's complicated disease that we cannot fix with stenting, But when you go back retrospectively, after you went through the surgery, through the recovery of the surgery, is it true that you were not having any symptoms, or the symptoms were so subtle that you did not recognize them? Because I remember that you mentioned something about maybe I was fatigued, but kind of like getting tired. Go, tell me that.
Okay. I've had neck surgery. So I did have a little pain in my shoulder. I thought that was from the neck surgery 25 years ago that I'd had. I ignored it. I started getting tired in the afternoon, and we joked about me having my 2:00 nap because I would get so tired. And I think my primary care asked me if whenever I exercised or whatever, did it get worse? Well, it really didn't get worse, but my Fitbit would kind of nudge me a little bit, and I kept thinking, what's wrong with this thing? And just little things that maybe the time of the year, I was never afraid. My sister said my friends and my family just freaked out that this, because I exercise.
Because you're always on the go, you're doing the right things.
We try to
how
eat
could it be?
well,
Yes.
and
although you knew, and early in your life, you even got tested because you
Correct.
knew that the heart disease was actually very strong in your family.
Yes.
So, for the women that are listening to this podcast today, don't justify your symptoms unless you have a professional that evaluated. No, so many times for example, you just said I had a neck surgery so many years ago, and then I started having this discomfort in the neck and the arm, and I attribute it to my neck pain.
Yes.
Yeah, to my neck surgery.
Exactly.
But why will we always trying to justify our symptoms instead of getting evaluated for it? No, and then now when we look retrospectively, something that seemed so insignificant to you end up being a significant issue for you. So now, why? I want to ask you that. Did you do well after your surgery?
Yes, really well. My sister's a retired nurse, so she came down, and I was beginning to call her Nurse Cratchit before it was over, but she was excellent with my medication, made me go walk, and so after a few days, yes, I really did well. I really did.
I'm so glad. I'm glad to hear that because, there is statistics that women have a tendency to have a worse outcome than men after open heart surgery. And it has to do because our hearts are smaller, our coronaries are smaller, complications tend to be more obvious. And then whenever the patients are not feeling good, it takes a little longer for people to recognize that something is not going right with the surgery or the recovery of the patient. So if you were to share something, if you have a group of women in front of you right now and they're listening to us, but they're not sure if they really need to be evaluated, or they're not sure if they even have to worry about heart disease as their life threat, what would you say to them?
I think two things maybe made me hesitate. My age, for one, because once you reach a certain age, people don't pay as much attention to your aches and pains. Everybody has this twitch or that twitch. And also, I didn't want to look foolish. My grandmother was a hypochondriac, and she was dying from the time she was 25 years old, I think, of heart problems. And the whole family, we would joke about it. I mean, she's passed now, which is sad, but we used to joke that her epitaph should be, "I told you I was sick." And I didn't want to appear.
So then the message for the audience will be, don't never be afraid of looking foolish. It's better to be foolish.
Yes.
Like we have another of our patients that came to share their story in this podcast, which is in one of our prior episodes that we share and say, better be foolish or make people might think that you're crazy, but be the crazy woman that is alive. No,
Yes.
so keep advocating
Yes.
for yourself. So never being afraid of being foolish. I think that's a good message for our audience today.
Exactly.
Just go and get checked. Never ignore your symptoms. And more so with your story is, even if you don't have symptoms, but you do have risk factors like family history, you were postmenopausal when you developed your disease, get checked and make sure that your heart is okay, and don't ignore the fact that feeling good doesn't mean that you're good.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Valerie, I thank you so much for accepting the invitation to come and join me today. I know that your story is going to help so many women out there to understand how important it is for us to get checked and continue to advocate for ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you.
And this takes us to an end of another episode of I AMU. Thank you for joining us. I hope this episode has empowered you to be the CEO of your own health. Tune into our next episode, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at NITZAMD. To explore more on this and related topics, visit our website, NITZAMD.com. If this episode resonated with you, please like and subscribe. And one more thing, share with the wonderful woman in your life.